Nancy and Frank in the postgame starts now.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everybody. Welcome inside our Yes Network studios for the Brooklyn Nets post-game show with Frank Isola. I'm Nancy Newman. Tonight, the tie-break in the season series was up for grabs. Frank, the intensity over the waning minutes was off the charts. The final was 123-117. It looked like Philly was going to run away, but wow, the Nets went on a run and made it some kind of game.
I'll tell you what. I guess there is such a thing as a demoralizing win, because if you're Philadelphia, you were up 22. They took Kyrie Irving out of the game. James Harden is back home in Brooklyn. Kevin Durant isn't even in uniform. Doc Rivers had to bring his starting group back into the game, and the Nets twice cut it to 3 in the final 149 of this game. I'll tell you what, if you're Philadelphia, and there's a chance you could play the Nets down the road in the playoffs, and a lot has to happen between now and then. How can you feel confident when you have your best players out there and you almost got beat by a bunch of backups who some of them might not even play in the postseason? Demoralizing win, believe it or not, for Philadelphia.
A 5-point game with 2.5 to go. Kyrie sitting on the bench. Let's take it down the stretch, and here we go. First up, it's Landry Shamet. A lot of ball handling duty. A fine night for him, Frank.
Well, and a lot of times it comes down to just playing hard. And number 24 on the Nets, Alize Johnson, plays hard every single second that he's out here. Look at the work. First, he had the behind-the-back dribble in the pass. He gets to, and then here he gets a steal. And there he is. They're ahead of the pack. Easy layup for TLC as the Nets keep making their run.
And then Nicholas Claxton.
Alize Johnson around the back. Little layoff. Foul on the play. Here's the thing. You know, Philadelphia did not have a field goal in the last 8-19 of this game. That's how well the Nets were playing. And I give this group
on the bench.
I give this group a lot of credit. It was all backups, and all they did was play hard. This was a tough one. Steve Nash challenged this call on Johnson. I thought the Sixers caught a bit of a break there. All Joel Embiid did was fall down. Then he kept grabbing his mouth like he got hit. I thought that was a really soft call by the officials.
And then Embiid, the foul, and the Nets challenge, and he made the free throws. And so now with the win, the season series, it's Philadelphia that take it.
And so now the way it'll work, if they finish in a dead tie for first place in the Eastern Conference, the 76ers would be the conference winners based on head-to-head matchups. So now the Nets have to finish a full game, of course, ahead of Philadelphia to get the best record in the Eastern Conference. A lot of games to be played between now and then. But remember one thing. 3 games, Kevin Durant did not play in all 3 of them. Kyrie Irving only played in 1. James Harden only played in 1. So Richard Jefferson mentioned it during the telecast. It's really about being healthy. And if the Nets are healthy, Philadelphia's a good team. I'm not taking anything away from them, but I just find it hard to believe that that Philadelphia team could beat the Nets at full strength. I just don't see it.
Right, and they're going for that 1 seed. You can see it. We talked in the pregame about Joel Embiid's name being mentioned as the candidate for the league's Most Valuable Player award with the improved numbers he has put up through 36 games this season. Tonight, he showed us why with his ability to score both inside and outside.
And I got to be honest with you, Nancy, I actually thought there were times during this game that it was more about helping Joel Embiid's MVP candidacy than it was about winning the game. I thought there were times when he was forcing it a little too much. It takes nothing away from what he did. He's still an outstanding player, and he made a ton of free throws in this game because that's always what he does. Here he's shooting on a double team. He looks like he might have gotten fouled. Got into it a couple of times with Kevin Durant on the bench. But how about this shot? For a guy his size, look at the finesse there and the touch over DeAndre Jordan. I thought he was very good. I think he wanted to be out of the game in the last 4:41 when Doc Rivers had the entire group come back out on the court. Terrific player. It's going to add to his MVP resume because he was so good tonight, but not a good finish for them.
Really supporting his MVP case, right?
Oh, absolutely. The numbers are off the charts. But the big number, Nancy, remember, is going to be games played. And right now, he has missed 18 games. And I think if you judge his history, judge the way everybody uses now load management and things like that, I doubt he's going to play in every game for the rest of the season. So if you're at 50, 51, 52 games in a 72-game season, in my book, and I'll likely have a vote, I just can't vote for somebody who misses 20 games. I can't do it.
But it is about consistency for him.
Yes, absolutely. And I still think for Joel Embiid in Philadelphia, in that group, they've never been out of the second round. So all these postseason honors, Ben Simmons wants to be Defensive Player of the Year, that's great. Joel Embiid wants to be MVP, that's great. It's still about the team success and trying to get to a conference finals, eventually an NBA finals. and winning a championship.
Yes. So after sitting out yesterday's game against Minnesota due to personal reasons, Kyrie Irving returned to the starting lineup tonight in a big way for the Nets. Without KD and James Harden available to play, Irving needed to carry the load for Brooklyn. Frank, he did all of that.
Yeah, and I thought he would have to have a big game, and he did. And listen, he would have got to about 40 points if they kept him in the game in the last 8:40. He came out after he made those 2 free throws, and eventually the Nets fell behind by 22 points. But if you look at Kyrie this season, I mean, he's got the full game working, whether he's hitting the pull-up jumper like he is here, driving to the basket, finishing with his left hand. He's just so dangerous, and this is what he does as well as any guard in the NBA. He can score in traffic. He can score when he gets hit. Again, here he's driving to the basket with much bigger defenders on him. He's so good, and then Steve Nash decided they gave a foul after he made the 2 free throws to make it 109-90. They decided to give a foul to get Kyrie out of the game, and Kyrie spent about the last 8:39, 8:38, whatever it was, on the bench watching.
37 points for him. Did it surprise you that Nash didn't put him back in?
No, because I think at that point, and they eventually went down by 22, I think Steve Nash felt, you know what, maybe we've lost the battle here. It's now about winning the war. And he put a group in the game that, and this is the thing about the NBA, which people don't understand. You can call it garbage time. When players go in that aren't playing a lot, they look at it as opportunity time. So the Net players went in there, and what they did was they played harder than Philadelphia. And it was a victory the minute Doc Rivers, with 4:40 to go in the game, had to put Ben Simmons back in the game and had to put Joel Embiid back in the game, because you can tell they didn't want to come back in the game. You know how it works. Same thing with a pitcher when they take him out for baseball,
right,
and he's thinking at the end of an inning, they shut it down mentally. Ben Simmons and Embiid had kind of shut it down mentally. Then they had to go back in. It's not going to show up in the standings. That was a minor win for the Nets tonight, what they did, making those guys come back in and have to fight all the way down to the end to get the victory.
Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, the very latest look. So with the win tonight, it is the 76ers that are atop. They continue to sit atop the Eastern Conference, but there is so much left to be decided, so many more games to be played.
Ian and Sarah were talking about it during the game, and that's the thing. So you just look at the way Philadelphia has played this year. I think they'll be able to hold on. Remember, too, now about the Nets. They have a lot more road games coming up, and when you have a situation with a back-to-back, I think we've already seen the pattern here. The fact that Kevin Durant has missed so much time over the past 2 seasons is still kind of nursing that hamstring injury. I just don't know how many back-to-backs Kevin Durant will play. And as you're getting closer to the playoffs, if you haven't done it up to this point, why do it now?
Right.
So if you are in that 2-3 hole, and if you get out of the first round, chances are you'll play Milwaukee in the second round. It's going to be a much tougher road, but for me, if the Nets are healthy in that lineup, they're going to be very difficult to beat.
As you said, this is totally a moral victory. Yep. Time now for our first break here on the Brooklyn Nets pregame show. Up next, we'll hear what head coach Steve Nash had to say following tonight's loss. Plus, we'll send it back to 2 members of our broadcast team tonight, Sarah Kustok and Richard Jefferson, for their report on the game.